welcome to today's On This Day in Tudor History. I'm Claire Ridgway. I've written several Tudor history books, and I also run the Tudor Society and the Anne Boleyn Files websites. I'm here with you every day, bringing you On This Day in History events for the year. Births, deaths, marriages, executions, all sorts of things. Now, today I'm taking you back to the reign of King Henry VIII for On This Day in Tudor History, the 26th of May 1536. So just 7 days after the execution of Henry VIII's second wife, Queen Anne Boleyn. The Lady Mary, we might call her Princess Mary, but she was her title at the time was the Lady Mary, daughter of King Henry VIII and his first wife, Catherine of Aragon, who died in January 1536, wrote to Thomas Cromwell. Now, the purpose of this letter was to ask Cromwell, who was, of course, the king's right-hand man at the time, to intercede with her, with her father, on her behalf. So she was writing to him to ask him to put forward her needs to the king, now that her stepmother was dead and gone. This was the stepmother that Mary blamed for her ill treatment, her sort of banishment from court, and the breach in her relationship with her father. Mary wanted permission to write directly to her father, but she was writing to Cromwell to help her to do this. Now, the letter has been damaged, but here is the part that we can actually read. Master Secretary, I would have been a suitor to you before this time, to have been a mean for me to the King's grace, to have obtained his grace's blessing and favour. But I perceived that nobody durst speak for me as long as that woman, i.e. Anne Boleyn, lived, which is now gone, whom I pray our Lord of his great mercy to forgive. Is now the bolder to write, desiring him for the love of God to be a suitor for her to the king, to have his blessing and leave to write to his grace. Apologises for her evil writing, for I have not done so much this 2 year or more, nor could not have found the means to do it at this time, but by my Lady Kingston's being here. Hunsdon, the 26th of May. So now, Queen Anne Boleyn was not blameless in the ill treatment of Mary and her mother, Catherine of Aragon. Anne had encouraged the ill treatment after Mary had rebuffed Anne's several attempts to hold out an olive branch to her. And Mary's suffering was something that Anne Boleyn later regretted. It is recorded that on the evening before her execution, Anne fell on her knees before Lady Kingston, who was wife of Sir William Kingston, Constable of the Tower of London, and asked Lady Kingston to go in her name to the Lady Mary, to kneel before her in like manner, and beg of her to pardon an unfortunate woman the many wrongs she had done her. So this was something that was haunting Anne in her last days, her participation, her encouragement of the ill treatment of Mary. But although Anne has to take some of the blame for the ill treatment of these women, of Catherine and Mary, of course their ill treatment was ultimately down to King Henry VIII, who wanted to punish them for their disobedience and defiance. He was the king. They were being disobedient to him. They were defying him. They should have been a good wife and daughter. They should have been loyal subjects, and yet they weren't. He was the king. He was the one in control of the situation, and ultimately their ill treatment was down to him. But It was easier for Mary, for example, to believe that the ill treatment was all her stepmother's fault. And in fact, it was easier for the Holy Roman Emperor and his ambassador, Chapuis, to blame Anne rather than to blame the king. That wasn't very diplomatic, was it? So Mary had believed that Anne was responsible, and now she believed that because Anne was out of the way, everything could return to normal and her father would be able to give her what she describes as his blessing and favour. However, Mary was very wrong. Her treatment got worse after her stepmother's death, not better. On the 15th of June 1536, Henry VIII, Mary's father, sent members of his council to visit Mary and to persuade her, or rather bully her, in fact we would call it bullying, her into accepting her position, her father as supreme head of the church in England, and acknowledging that she was not the legitimate heir to the throne. One of those council members that was sent to her even said to her that were she his or any other man's daughter, he would beat her to death or strike her head against the wall until he made it as soft as a boiled apple. In short, that she was a traitress and would be punished as such. Now remember, this council member is talking to the king's daughter. But this is such strong words and must have been very frightening to hear. Now, Eustace Chapuis, the imperial ambassador, was so worried for Mary's safety, fearing that she could actually be executed for not submitting to her father, that he encouraged her to finally submit. And she did that on the 22nd of June 1536. It was a case of, Mary, don't look at what you're signing, just sign it. We need to save you. And he advised her that the Pope, was on her side and that it all would be well. Henry VIII was willing to acknowledge Mary as his daughter and to mend their relationship and to go back to how it had been when she'd been, the apple of his eye, his pearl, his beloved daughter. He was willing to treat her as such if she toed the line. It was that simple. So when she did finally submit to him, all was sweetness and light in the relationship once more. So it really had nothing to do with Anne Boleyn and everything to do with Henry VIII expecting his daughter to toe the line and to do what he wanted. And once she did that, then she could come back to court and be treated as his beloved daughter. But it's just horrible to think what Mary went through and the bullying that she suffered due to her divided loyalty, her believing that she had to support her mother, and also that she wanted her status. She felt that she was the heir to the throne, that she was her father's legitimate daughter, and that her parents' marriage was valid. So Mary, you can understand why Mary became so ill, because she felt that she was selling her soul to the devil, really, by signing this submission. It must have been such an awful thing to do. So that's what happened on this day in history in 1536. The Lady Mary wrote to Cromwell, hoping that he could intercede with her, with the king, and that all would be well again. She was to be truly mistaken. You can find out more Tudor history events as we go on through the year. I'll be bringing you lots and lots of On This Day in Tudor history events, so do subscribe to this channel by just clicking round about there. Hit the bell to be notified as videos go live as well. I do enjoy reading your comments. I haven't been very good at reading comments recently, what with being on the Anne Boleyn experience tour, and because there are so many, but I do appreciate you leaving feedback and also giving me likes as well. They're very much appreciated. Have a great day. I will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye bye.